In recent days, shockingly detailed information about the Rotterham national trauma has emerged. Rotterham is that town in Britain of barely 100,000 inhabitants, which saw over 1,400 girls groomed, gang-raped and tortured. The details coming out of recent court cases are so shocking, I cannot mention them here, for TikTok's algorithms would take the video down and give me a strike. If the British public were, however, to take the time to read and understand these court documents, there would be a revolt and a declaration of war against your leadership. I can say that the victims were, by and large, lower-class native girls of Christian heritage. Of the much older perpetrators, almost all of them had foreign backgrounds. One background in particular stands out, as they represented nearly 80% of the perpetrators. Only 4% of men involved were described as white, and a majority of them didn't originally come from Britain either. Even just telling you the truth as vague as this can get this video banned. In some cases, when parents called the police to help rescue their daughters, the girls, many as young as 11 years old, were instead arrested for disorderly and drunk behavior. The older men who kept these girls captive in their houses, who forced them to get drunk, walked away free. In other cases, fathers tried to rescue their daughters themselves, only to be arrested by the arriving police. In one case, the police told the father that his daughter's rape was a lesson for her to be learned. At least one girl died of an overdose of the drugs she was forced to consume to prepare her for the abuse. Another had her house set on fire while she and her mom were sleeping. They didn't survive. Other girls were doused in liquids and threatened to be set alight if they didn't allow more abuse. Police played a big role in allowing and perpetuating the abuse. Girls who contacted the police were told it had been their own fault for putting themselves in danger of repeated exploitation. And at least in one case, police officers proceeded to grape a girl who had just escaped the same ordeal. In 2008, top police officials sent out a memo to all of Britain's police stations advising officers to treat these girls as willing harlots exploring their sexuality. This is why the girls' parents were often snubbed by the police, as though they were just being racist, while their underage daughters were being trafficked across the country by men in their 50s. Often the girls were abused for months on end, and then forcefully prostituted for many more years. These are just the stories coming out of Rotterham. One Labour PM suggests the real number of girls sexually abused by mostly non-native rape and torture squads during this period of 1960 to today may range around 1 million. 1 million British girls abused by an imported terror. This was no accident or oversight. This was clearly a political plan, namely to destroy the psychologies of an entire generation of lower-class white women and of their descendants. For what sort of tortured mothers would these women become? How can you even move on as a society when such a large number of people living and working in it have been permanently damaged? These were war crimes committed against a population that could not defend itself and couldn't even ask for help. This event should be remembered as Britain's teen girl holocaust. There is simply no other word for it except perhaps the word treason. The girls have been betrayed by their society that looked away, betrayed by the police who participated in it, betrayed by politicians who ordered it, and betrayed by the mainstream media who lied about it, and by the scientists who covered it up. This, ladies and gentlemen, wasn't just an act of war. It was and still is a war. You are at war, and your young women so far have been its main casualties. It's time to act.